to it. Get right to this lesson. Alright, check it out. See if everything's good. I think everything's alright. Alright, we're going to give our praise and glory to Yahweh by Shema Bashar. Double honor to the apostle brother of the great millstone. Shalom to the hope for black. Another lesson, open topic, the words of prophecy. So we're going to get right to this lesson.
An urgent message to all true patriots. China is here, and if you're not prepared, stockpiling toilet paper.
2023 doom and gloom bingo card, but now there's a precedent that's being talked about in China. We're seeing military strategists say that this precedent exists for China to use nuclear weapons to completely destroy the country of Japan in a full-scale warfare if Japan comes to America or Taiwan's aid during a military conflict. In the recent past, a video circulated among the Chinese Communist Party channels. This video warned that China will destroy Japan and it will use nuclear weapons in a full-scale war if Tokyo interferes militarily in Taiwan's reabsorption into China. The video singles out Japan itself, threatening that it will be the exception to China's stated policy to not use nuclear weapons against non-nuclear powers. Now, of course, we know that Japan is a nuclear country. We also know that Japan falls under an umbrella of sorts for the United States of America to protect using nuclear weapons. We will use nuclear bombs first, China is quoted as saying. We will use nuclear bombs continuously. Now, with this sort of precedent out there existing, and us starting to see military strategists say that it's time, now these are Asian military strategists, say that it's time right now for China to go, China to take Taiwan, and China to nuclear, with the use of nuclear weapons, defend its territorial integrity and the sovereignty of the Chinese people. This is an escalation that we have to admit could lead us into that great fabled World War III that ends in nuclear annihilation of 1/3 to 2/3 of the globe's population. Now, when that happens, it's only going to be the elite that are held up in their bunkers. It's going to be the militaries that are held up in their deep underground bunker spaces, and it's going to be the richest and the most wealthy preppers that have their bunkers underground. Now, a lot of people are going to emerge from a long-duration emergency, especially a nuclear one, with not a clear understanding of what the next couple of weeks or months entails. You're talking full chaos in the street, and that's just it. It's not necessarily the nuclear weapons that are going to take out the population. Instead, it's going to be the fallout. It's the contaminated water and food sources. It's the lack of knowledge among the people when something looks healthy to continue to eat it or put it on their body. You see, you can't see these rays. Just like you go into a dentist's office and you don't see multiple streams of light hitting your mouth when you're getting an x-ray. You don't see it when you walk through a terminal at an airport. You can't see radiation. Just like you can't see it on your skin, but you can see the damage. So when people emerge and they see others with the blisters pocking their face, they see people fighting and murdering each other just for a can of soup because that can will have been somewhat protected from the fallout during an emergency. This is when chaos will reign. So emerging from that sort of long duration emergency is going to be really a throwing of the populace into a world without the rule of law, or a RAL situation. You're not prepared for it. I'm not prepared for it. That means people are literally going to be gunning down children that are just hungry. That means children will literally be gunning down, and this isn't happening in Miami. This isn't happening like what you see happen in California. It's not the Kia boys. It's not the people going through the streets that just have no regard for the rule of law. No, this is going to be people who are desperate. Kelly and I
Oh man, this is big, and almost no one in the West is talking about it. The corporate corrupt media are ignoring it, of course. What China, Russia, and North Korea have done will change everything in the biggest way possible. Their trade and economic expansion has the West crapping its pants, which could push us into World War III. Now, many, myself included, believe we're already in World War III, but just wait until the real shooting starts, because that's honestly how Washington sees the world. Rather than spending trillions of dollars on our own infrastructure in the United States, building out our own Belt and Road Initiative with new railroads and infrastructure and shipping lanes and all of that, no, we'd rather enrich the military-industrial complex, give that money to weapons manufacturers like Raytheon and Northrop Grumman, enrich those people. Meanwhile, there's people sleeping on the streets of the United States.
The number of homeless people on the streets and in shelters across the U.S. increased significantly this year.
Roads and bridges are a total disaster. Crime is at an all-time high. So apparently America is fine. We'd rather enrich these defense contractors. Well, this week we just got our clearest sign yet that the West is getting desperate. And desperate people do very dangerous things. The United States Air Force Secretary General saying China is prepping for war against the United States. Imagine that. Why would China be preparing for war against the United States? And the warmongers on TV are saying that China is the real threat. We better prepare for war now.
He was making certain his troops understood that war could be around the corner. We have all said the very same thing, that China does have a military advantage right now. More ships, more planes, and certainly more missiles. That is where the general's coming from, because he knows that we're vulnerable and we have got to fix it.
Yeah, the trillions of dollars we spend on our military each year simply isn't enough. We need more weapons. And right on cue, NATO last week launched its biggest military exercises yet to show China and Russia that we mean business. The Pentagon announcing they're also clearing out jungles to build brand new military bases near China. Wait a second, where are the crying liberal environmentalists now? Clearing a forest to build yet another military base? If you're keeping score, the United States now has over 960 military bases around the world. And look how many are sitting in China's backyard.
Why don't you own commercial real estate? Yes, you. Why don't you own commercial?
The United States in this interview says they're also clearing off older World War II runways in the Pacific in preparation for war. So why would China be prepping for war? I can't wrap my head around it. Of course you know the answer. Well, the timing of these NATO announcements was perfect as North Korean leader Kim Jong-un traveled by armored train to Moscow, meeting with Putin, agreeing to expand their trade and military partnerships. He toured military facilities, looked at aircraft facilities. He told Putin that he will help fight against NATO's imperialism. This terrified NATO, so much so that NATO-backed Ukraine added Kim Jong-un to their kill list. Yes, a list that NATO keeps for who they'll kill next. Again, desperate people do desperate things. The RAND Corporation, a Washington think tank, wants the United States to go to war with Russia and China in the worst possible way. They just published a laughable new report on North Korea, Russia, and China's imperialist partnership, because they're invading all sorts of countries together, aren't they? Perhaps they forgot the part where the United States now has 960 military bases, dozens right on the back doorstep of China and Russia. But imperialism? Perhaps they should look in the mirror a little bit. The report outlines 3 solutions to deal with Russia and China, the Russia and China threat. The 3 solutions are all military-based. It's laughable. Number 1, they say, is to build a better outline on how we go to war. How exactly do we carry out modern war? Number 2, they say, is to build out massive new weapons and fighting capabilities to use against Russia, China, and North Korea. So weapons. And then number 3 is to build out massive new military forces. So number 1, identify how we go to war. Number 2, build out new weapons. Number 3, build out new forces. All of it leads to war. No peace talks, nothing about building our own economy back at home, helping Americans. No, none of that. Though, of course not. They're terrified of what Russia and China are doing. This week, Russia and China announced a massive new cross-border partnership. You could have heard Biden freaking out in Washington. This is a massive new logistics hub between China and Russia. It'll basically become a joint China-Russia city for oil and natural gas and minerals to be shuttled between the two countries. An amazing partnership. And new numbers out this week show Russia's economy expanding. China, Russia, the BRICS nations have agreed now to use gold as their main backing for their new international currency to settle transactions. They just decided this a few weeks ago. And of course, we knew this was coming. That's why China, Russia, India, all buying up as much gold as possible. Remember, we're told in the West that Russia's economy is collapsing thanks to sanctions. The opposite is true, however. The West's failed sanctions against...
So you see. Alright, we're going to get to these scriptures. The time that we are in. What we got here? Let's go to Proverbs chapter 21. We had some, how was it? Proverbs 21, verse 1. Proverbs 21, verse 1. It said, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the river of water, he turneth it whatsoever his will, right? Whatever his will. Proverbs 21, verse 1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the river of water, he turneth it whatsoever his will, right? Whatsoever his will. Let's go to let's go to Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5. Oh, messing up. Hold on, please. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5. It says, every battle of the warriors, every battle of the warriors is with confusion, noise, and garment rolled in blood. But this should be burning in fear of fire, right? Burning of fear of fire. Isaiah 13, verse 5. They came from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord and the weapons of his nation to destroy the whole land. Hallelujah, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It should come as instruction from the Almighty. Verse 7, therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. Right? Every man's heart shall melt. Verse 13, therefore I will shake the heaven and the earth. She will move out of her place in the wrath of the Lord hosts in the day of his fury, anger, right? The day of his fury, anger. His fury, anger. Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 10. To whom shall I speak and give warning that they may hear? Behold, the ears uncircumcision, and they cannot hearken. Behold the word of the Lord unto their reproach. They have no delight in it. Right, they have no delight in it. Jeremiah 6, verse 10. To whom shall I speak and give warning that they may hear? Behold, the ears uncircumcision, they cannot hearken. Behold the word of the Lord unto their reproach. They have no delight in it. Right, they have no delight in it. No delight in it. All right, let's go to Jeremiah 51. Jeremiah 51, verse 1. God said to the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon, against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me a destroying wind. And I will send unto Babylon fan, they should fan her. They should empty her land for in the day of trouble. They shall be against her around about. Verse 7. Babylon bidding to go to cup in the Lord hand, make all the earth drunken. Nations have drunk of her wine, therefore the nations are mad, right? The nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly falling. Destroy hollow for her, take blame for her pain. If so be, she may be healed. Right? She may be healed. Jeremiah 50. Let me see. I think I keep going. Jeremiah 50 verse Jeremiah 50 verse 23. Jeremiah 50 verse 22. Let me see. Jeremiah 50 verse 1. The word of the Lord spoken against Babylon, against the land of the Chaldean by Jeremiah the prophet, declare you among the nations, and publish and set up a standard, publish and conceal not, saying, Babylon is taken, Babel is confounded, Mardea is broken in pieces, her idols are confounded, her image are broken in pieces. Flee after the north, there came up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. Was that Jeremiah 50 verse, 25? 22. A sound battle is in the land, and of great destruction is the hammer of the whole earth is cut in center, and broken. How is Babylon become a desolate among the nations? I lay a snare for thee, and there are also taken, O Babylon. I thy waste not away. They are found also caught, but I have strive against the Lord. The Lord hath opened his army. He hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the works of the Lord, power of hosts in the land of the Chaldean. Right, the land. Verse 26, come against her from the most borders, open her storehouses, cast her up and here, and destroy her, let her be left. Right, we see what else. Verse 29, call together the arch against Babylon, all you that bend the bow, camp against it round about, let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her works, according to all that she hath done to unto her, for she hath been proud against the Lord, against the Holy One of Israel. What else, I guess? Well, Jeremiah 50, verse 45. Therefore, hear you the counsel of the Lord, that you have taken against Babylon, a purpose that he had purpose against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he should make them to inhabit desolate with them, right with them. Again, Jeremiah 50, verse 45. Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord, that he had taken against Babylon, and his purpose that he had purpose against the land of the Chaldean. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make them inhabit desolate with them. Joel chapter 3, verse 14. No, Joel chapter 3, verse 12. Let the heathens be weak. No, let the heathens be weak and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there I was set to judge all the heathens around about. Right, no, let's go to verse 11. No, let me see. Proclaim you among it. Yeah, verse 9. Joel 2, verse 9. Complain. Proclaim you among the nations, the Gentiles. Complain you this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty man. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Be your plowshares unto the sword, and your putty hooks unto the spear. And let the weak say, I am strong. Right? Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourself and come, all you heathens, and gather yourself. Let together round about. They call the mighty one to come down, O Lord. Let the heathens be weak and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I set to judge all the heathens round about. verse 14. Multitude in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision, right? It's near. How much time? It's near. Okay, get a couple more. We'll cut there. Let's go to Matthew 24, verse 3. And he said upon a mountain Olivet, and disciples came unto him privately and said, tell us, what should those things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? And Yahweh shall answer unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, right? Take heed. Verse 5, for many shall come in my name, say Mashiach, and deceive many. You shall hear of wars and the rumors of wars. See that, be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famine and pestilence and earthquake in diverse places, and all these are the beginning of sorrow, right? All these are the beginning of sorrow. All these are the beginning of sorrow. Let's go to Matthew 24, verse 32. Now learn the parable of the fig tree. When he bread yet tender and put forth, lead you know that the summer is not. So likewise we should see all those things, know that is near, even at the door, right? It's near, even at the door. Very I say unto you, this generation should not pass till all those things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth should pass away, but my word should not pass away. Right, my words. But my word. But if the day, no, I want to be, that's good right there. So Matthew 24, verse 44, therefore be you also ready, for sure the hour you think not the Son of Man coming. What else? Ephesians 5, verse 15. Ephesians 5, verse 15. He said, see that you walk circumspect, not as fools, but as wise, redeem the time, because the days are evil, right? The days are evil. Verse 17. Wherefore be you not unwise, but understand what the will of the Lord is. Be not drunken with wine within its exercise, be filled with the Spirit. Right? Ephesians 5, verse 16. Redeem the time, because the days are evil. Jeremiah. Hope I ain't getting no point, but we go to Jeremiah 28, verse 7. It say, nevertheless, hear this now, this word that I speak in thy ears, in the ear of all the people. The prophet had been before me, and before the even old prophet, both old prophet, both against many countries, and against great kingdom of wars, and evil, and of pestilence, right? Wars, evil, and of pestilence. Jeremiah 28, verse 8, the prophet that had been before me, before thee of old prophet, both against many countries, and against great kingdom of wars, and of evil, and of pestilence. What else? Nope, let's go to Luke. Chapter 12, verse 56. Luke 12, verse 56. It say, you hypocrite, you can discern the face of the sky and of the earth, but how it is that you not discern this time, right? Discern this time. Luke 12 and 56, you hypocrite, you could discern the face of the sky and of the earth, but how it is that you do not discern this time, or discern this time. Okay, what else? 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 9. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slacking, but is long suffering to us, for not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance, right? That all should come to repentance. Luke, let's say Luke, 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 9. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slacking, but is long suffering to us, for not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heaven shall pass away with great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works thereof shall be burnt up. Seeing that all these things should be dissolved, what manner of person are you to be in holiness, conversation, and godliness? Right? Looking for the haste of the coming of the day of our power, within the heaven be on fire, should be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Man, fervent heat. Let's go to Revelation. Revelation 11, verse 14, the second woe is past. Behold, the third woe coming quick, right? The third woe is coming quick. Revelation 11, verse 14, the second woe is past. And behold, the third woe coming quick. And watch the rest of these 2 minutes.
These countries have only hurt Europe and the United States. This morning, Europe on pace for the euro to continue its plummet in number of losing sessions. Bad news all across Europe as businesses are rushing.
A lot of motorcyclists forget how important this simple tip can be. A recent study shows that 50% of motorcyclists
is about to invade the rest of Europe. It's a lie, of course. The full-scale pullback away from the US dollar as a reserve currency is at the heart of this story. They are lying when they tell you that Russia and China are ready to attack the United States. China is not building, especially if you're planning to buy some investment real estate. The U.S. is in real trouble thanks to these Russian sanctions. Now, I spoke to economist and gold expert Peter.
Inflation is coming down. First of all, he needs to accept some responsibility for how much it went up. So this myth that the inflation problem is over is wrong. It's just getting started.
And of course, now the only way out for them is war. That's exactly what this all points to. Tucker Carlson points out this hot war with Russia is coming, and it's going to happen in the next few months.
What are they going to do? They're going to go to war with Russia. Is what they're going to do. There will be a hot war. They want it anyway.
And I just want you to remember that the threat here isn't military. The threat is economic. It's the decline of the US dollar. They will try to tell you that China is about to invade or that Russia is about to invade the rest of Europe. It's a lie, of course. The full-scale pullback away from the US dollar as a reserve currency is at the heart of this story. They are lying when they tell you that Russia and China are ready to attack the United States. China is not building military bases in Canada or Mexico. China doesn't have a lot of precious minerals and petroleum, so they need this partnership with Russia. Russia doesn't have semiconductors and electronics, so they need those from China. It's a great symbiotic relationship that has grown by over 40% since the start of the war. And Biden created this. He brought Russia and China together. Saudi Arabia, North Korea, they're all closer thanks to the President of the United States. Now, while at the same time, the U.S. announced they are now $31 trillion in debt. $7 trillion of that is to China. So who has the upper hand right now? This is an economic war that will have people firing real weapons in a true hot war, and we need to pay attention to what's happening right before our eyes and protect our families. So that's the news update part of today's video. Now I want to introduce you to today's sponsor.
So you see, the time is at hand. We're going to close out right there. We got, So that should be it. So we're going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Shemar Shah. Don't unto the apostle, but the great millstone. Shalom to the hope of the elect. Shalom, the third boat coming. Well, said it right. Yeah. The time is at hand. So, yeah. Shalom.